actually to build up this whole meta model of saying, I want to understand my processes, which we have in scenario. I want to understand my applications and my infrastructure. What is the easiest way to start? In best case, you have LeanIX already, or you have another architecture tool which you can leverage. But if not, we can use several other options in LeanIX. I want to show you two. First one is the AI, or so-called AI inventory builder. This AI inventory builder is similar to text-to-process. It's a module where I can upload diagrams, pictures, documents, and this will analyze by yourself. So what I did was I uploaded before this picture here of we having a couple of boxes which indicate our application and a lot of relation errors here as well. And then I actually analyzed it, and what you can see is that LeanIX with the inventory builder is analyzing automatically set sheets. So we are seeing one capability, couple of applications and interfaces, and we will also automatically create auto relations, which means with the information we have already, we have a very, very fast time to insights because we get the data super fast into LeanIX. Now I promised you also another one, and this is the so-called SAP landscape discovery, where we have worked on and invested quite a lot, which means we can automatically analyze your on-premise, your public and private cloud applications from SAP, which looks then like follows. We have information regarding deployment types, a live environment, a test environment, or developer environment. Also, if information are available, where is it actually hosted? And then I can just link it to my inventory or create a factory. And also here, within minutes, we actually get a full overview about your SAP application landscape, which means you just need to add some non-SAP systems from other sources. So now let's jump in a report. Let's jump into a so-called application landscape. What we are seeing here is actually applications supporting which of our business capabilities. Also, the color coding indicates the life cycle, so is that application actually in use today? If it's in a phase-out state, or is it already active? And we have now a full overview about our SAP landscape. And the big thing about LeanIX is that the massive difference to other EA tools, but also especially to PowerPoint, to Excel, to Visio, etc., is that this reporting is super based on the information. So if I got some question like, Dominic, show me how our landscape evolves, I can leverage the time slider, jumping 3-4 quarters ahead and see what is actually changing. We see that we will phase out call center management, that we will set an end of life customer echo Americas, but also SAP FI goes into a phase out stage. On top, we can actually also go in deeper, so not only being on the highest level of capabilities, but going one level actually deeper to not understand which of my applications supporting finance overall, but then more precisely accounting, contract management, controlling, etc., etc. To then also find optimization potential for understanding of the and borderlines. On the other hand, I can also might be also interested in the business criticality tool, going back to the highest level to make it more consumable for you, and saying I want to enrich this data even further with a functional fit, so how well is an application actually supporting my capability. And what we can see is now here that we have several applications that are mission critical, so which are super important to keep our company, to keep our processes running, but with a very low functional fit. And one of them is actually contract management. I say let's quickly jump into this so-called contract management and understand a bit more context of the application itself. If we are on the fact sheet, we can find general information regarding the life cycle of the application process, but also the criticality, the functional fit, technical fit, or IT security classifications. All of these information might be relevant for similar or different use cases, like, for example, application optimization issues, application SAP transformation as well. On top, we can also find who's responsible, like I am the application owner. From the business side, we have Carol Brown, who's the solution architect, Christina Lever, who's responsible for the process. So also this makes actually more technical, but also more easier to identify who I need to contact if I have questions or if I want to optimize my landscape. On top, we also have this way of relation, because we want to understand like the 360-degree view of this application. If we want to replace it, we want to modernize it, we need to understand not only that there is an application who's responsible, but also which processes are affected, which capabilities, which organizations, and also which interfaces for IT companies. So what we can see is that we are using contract management in 3 different capabilities in 11 processes, which actually comes from Signavio. So this is the automatic message here in LeanIX. With the process managers, actually relating this application to the processes, but also we are aware about running on 2 different IT companies, like we do. So now, what we have actually understood is so far we have optimization potential in capability like sourcing and procurement. We have identified our as-is landscape, which applications support today, which of our capabilities and processes, and have identified this concept management. This is a mission-critical application with a very low functional fit. So on top, it's obviously now how can we define target state. Let me jump back to the inventory, and we have a so-called AI plot, which is actually the first level of architecture insights, architecture recommendation. It will be even more powerful in the future if there will be automatic insights into the whole landscape. But today, I can actually use this AI assistant. I want to understand who are the top 5 competitors of a specific solution. So what we are doing is here, I'm searching out for contract management, picking it on and saying, hey, show me please the top 5 competitors of the solution, which I can then leverage to think, okay, maybe these are great tools to start with an RFI, an RFP, to maybe to replace this tool. We see, for example, this result assessment. So if we have done this now, let's understand our landscape even further compared to the report section and jumping into the metrics organization. The metrics report is similar to a landscape, but we're just adding one more dimension, which is great to identify where do we have white spots in our landscape, where do we have several applications supporting the same capabilities. I will quickly, just for the sake of showing you, filter for my HR business capability. And what we can see here is now that we have also from the solution perspective now that we have several applications supporting capabilities in a different way. For example, for payroll, we are using SAP FI in Brazil, payroll LW in Canada, and also in Europe, payroll Europe, payroll Europe. So this is a great way to standardize. Why do we have 5 different solutions for one capability, for one process in different regions? We could standardize it to use our TCO here and free up money, actually free up resources for innovations. If we're going back to the full overview, because what we can also do is changing obviously the way here. So what we have seen is that contract management is running on 2 different IT companies. I have now visualized the so-called obsolescence aggregated risk pool, which indicates like there are applications which are running on outdated technology, like contract management. So what we can see is that we have here with the Oracle Cube middleware an unaddressed end of life, so that Cube middleware version is actually no longer supported by Oracle, which means we have a potential technical risk. So not even on top of the low functional fit, we have also from a technical perspective great optimization potential, because we need to change now something. How could we actually do this? So, and also if you ask yourself, how do we get this kind of information? We have a so-called, and I fact sheet as well. We have a so-called reference catalog, which indicates the life cycle of the technology. So we are doing the research of how long is actually a technology, the software and hardware components supported by the vendor. We have more than 65,000 entries already from the obviously top vendors like SAP, like Oracle, IBM, Salesforce, and so on, but also for like tier 2, tier 3 providers with quite a good coverage. And then we can actually, having this kind of aggregated view, understanding an application is running on outdated technology, creating the obsolescence aggregated risk status, also indicating now which of my capabilities, which of my processes might be affected, to understand, okay, where do we need to optimize our business continuity. Quickly going back, because what I was mentioning already is also on top, like how can we now define the way forward? And in LeanIX, this works for less for transformation, but actually overall for all the transformations I have in my organization. I can create so-called transformations, which are scenarios, which are potential target states, so that I can identify the impact and see the value for my enterprise architecture, for my organization actually overall, because I usually have not one option to go for to define my my target set, but usually I have several options which I can then understand. Okay, what is the impact from a timeline perspective, from a cost perspective, but also from a strategy perspective. So what I was doing here is in an application rationalization initiative is that we have identified several applications which we can eliminate in wave 1 and wave 2, but also that we can migrate, like re-platform payroll, LOW, Middleware in Germany to SAP SuccessFactors, but also for our industry. Contract management will be set at end of life, and we will implement DocuSign as a new tool. Or AC management will be based on the AC management technology solution. So there are different ways how to actually identify what can be defined, also from a timeline, from a roadmap perspective, our targets. Let's quickly also jump to one more report which indicates that actually our integrations. This is now a so-called data circle, which means I can actually see how my landscape is integrated and see where I have one-directional, bi-directional interfaces, which is also great to create this transparency in all of my integration projects. Because if I replace an application, I need to think about also integrations I need to replace, I need to update. And what I've done now here also for the application rationalization initiative is now like a gap analysis, which interfaces can be actually shut down, so also like reducing complexity in our integration landscape and which integrations interfaces I'm actually building. With this initiative, we are not only reducing our TCO, reducing the amount of applications, but we are also reducing the complexity by just reducing the amount of integrations without losing actually the business focus. If we are then quickly going back, and I want to show you one more thing, is actually this is a good overview about like the circle itself to the integrations, but usually, especially if we're thinking about if you're thinking about a data flow, it obviously not stops here. We are focusing on HR admin now, and you see there are several integrations now in place. Some of them